Good evening, my fellow Silverdegenerates. It is Tuesday night, and that can mean only one thing: stacking.nyc here on YouTube, baby. And we're going to have a little chat tonight to talk about what it means to be a Silver Degenerate. Say hello, give me a comment, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Say hi. Hi. So let's talk about the Silver Degenerates process and what it means, like, say, as a buyer, collector, what it means as a seller or as somebody who's evolved this into a business. It's sort of two branches, but one and the same. What's up, Mark? How are you? Budget Bullion Stacker, how are you? Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I think next week we need to do a giveaway. Hey, what's up? Gambit, Silverpore in the house. Good to see you guys. Next week, I think I better make a note. Otherwise, I'll forget. I'll be like, yeah, we're going to do a giveaway. Everybody like, what happened to that giveaway that Tommy promised? Bum. Note, giveaway for YouTube next week. All right. You heard it here first. What's up, Frank, Chris, Dean Ellis, Pegleg, Maskless? What's up, Alex, Bodine? Evening. Good to see you guys. 16 people. I want to see 16 likes, guys. Show me some love. I've spoken about this, about how I sort of realized this whole Silver Degenerates process because it really applied to me. What's up, Bobby? Good to see you. D-Dubs, Jelly Bean, what's up, Jill? It applied to me. I was a silver addict, a silver junkie, all these terms that get thrown around, a metalhead, whatever everybody's always called themselves. Hey, Charles, good to see you. You're awesome, Budget. Thank you. And I realized, Robert, you got your own name now. Good to see you, man. I realized some things about my behavior. And as I engaged more in the community, I realized that my behavior wasn't unique. It wasn't unique, right? So, and that's sort of how communities form, right? We form around like-minded people. We form around people who we can relate to, right? Hey, Jesse, good to see you. And, in terms of the metals aspect, and I can talk more about how there are so many commonalities between all of us as Silver Degenerates. And it's why I focus on, as I say, unity over division, because we have so much more in common than we could ever disagree on. And, I always like to joke that you could put any two people on the planet in a room and they won't be in there long before they find out what they disagree on. So that's easy, right? But if we focus on commonality, we realize we have similar patterns of behavior. We have similar values. And these are all things that tie together the Silver Degenerates community. And it's what makes us a movement, right? So in the beginning, Silver Degenerates tend to, when they discover stacking or collecting, they tend to really go for, as I say, anything shiny. We see it. We like it. We love it. We want more of it, right? So we're like, oh, that's cool. Got to have that. Got to have that piece. Got to have that piece. That's what we do. It's one of the most natural things when something is new to us, right? We sort of get consumed. It becomes a passion. And we're like, oh, my God, I love it. I love the art. I love the history, the beauty, and we go for it. We go for it. And this is the way we behave in auctions or on post sales or even on eBay, which is, how I started. Just scrolling. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. It's beautiful. I don't have one of those. Oh my God, I never owned a koala before. I need a koala in my life. Oh, wait, what is that? A Philharmonic? Oh my God, that's a cello. I need a cello, right? So that's sort of what we do. We're like, I need this. I need that. Need, right? And then what happens is we start to accumulate a nice stack. and we feel good about it because it has value. There's very little else, in the world that we can spend money on that has the same value. It's easily liquid. All right. We can always convert our metals. And I've certainly done it many times in my life. Hey, what's up, Frank? Good to see you. So as we start to get all these metals, how about an actual golden shell? That would be pretty heavy, though. That'd be heavy. Like, I can see Yo-Yo Ma lift that up. Ah! Speaking of heavy, I am wearing a heavy metals shirt. It's because of a salesman, a guy named Tommy. Well, listen, I do have to say something. In terms of salesmanship, a lot of people said, "Oh, Tommy's such a great salesman," and I don't think I'm a bad salesman, but I think that, like any good salesman, you can't be a good salesman unless you truly believe in what you're selling. I couldn't sell cars. I couldn't, sell a lot. I couldn't sell vacuum cleaners. Like, this is great. I don't know, right? I couldn't sell those things. I can sell real estate. I can sell metals, things that I have faith in and love. There's Tucker. Tucker, this is a great conversation for you. You've been collecting for so long. You've probably gone through the Silverdegenerates process many times over. So after the beginning, when we get our hands on anything shiny and, this is cool, that's cool, what do we do? So, I like the Philharmonic personally, because always remember, with Silverdegenerates, one of the founding principles is to each their own, right? Because some people are going to say, well, I like the Philharmonic, but I like Eagles better. I like that Kangaroo, but you know what? I like Libertads better. I like the Maples, but I love Kooks or Pandas or Art Bars or Vintage Bars or Pours or Fractionals. Because what we do is not, right? It's not monolithic. It's not like we're all going in the same direction. There are different communities within our community. People collect Pours more, or they collect, certain Libertads. So what happens is, from what I've seen in terms of behavior, like I said, noticing it with myself first, you start to look at the stack and you say, well, I probably have more than I need of stuff that I like less. Let me maybe sell it and buy more of what I like more. Maybe get rid of this or get rid of that, and I'll buy more Libertads. And you know what? I want every date. Boy, that elusive 1998, huh? Whew. But, I want every date of Libertad. I want every date of Eagle. I want one pour at least from every pour artist I can imagine, right, Captain Coda? I don't know if he's in here, but some people want every pour they can get. And then they say, they can evolve further and say, well, you know what? I tend to like this artist style more than that artist style. So maybe they'll sell some of the artists they like less and keep a couple as keepsakes. And they'll start to focus on artists that they like more, right? Because just like Silverdegenerates, as human beings, our tastes are as unique as we are, right? I'm a Libertad lover, for anybody that knows me. And I like Pours too. But definitely as unique as we are. And so we start to maybe sell a little bit of what we like less to get a little bit what we like more of. And, then once we have every date, then we need every variety. And speaking of talented pour artists, the original BMB is in the house. It's me, Dan Ellis. Libs are definitely one of my favorites. They really are. I think they're beautiful. I love, guys, as Silverdegenerates, I would suggest, like, if you like Libertads and you don't own any yet, look up the symbolism of the Libertad, of the reverse of the Libertad. The reverse is actually the statue, the winged goddess Nike. Look it up. Look up what the mountains in the background mean and learn the story. And you'll start to realize that what's on these pieces of shiny silver that we collect is far deeper than we realize sometimes. Look it up. I've actually done videos about the legend that's depicted on the Mexican Libertad. So definitely check it out. Hey, Nestor in the house. But it's beautiful. So, we start to branch out and buy more of what we like, get the dates, and then we say, you know what? I need the quality. I need MS-70 Libertads. And a lot of Libertads you can't even get an MS-70, but that's another story. I love the PAMP series. I'm missing this. I'm missing that. And you go for it, and you really start to refine your collection, as we say. Brett in the house. Definitely love the original BMB's 8-ball. When you start stacking, it's a whole new world. There are elements of art and history, and it all line your chakras. It all means something, and it can really evoke emotions from within us on these pieces. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. Thumbs up, like. This is YouTube. You got to do that, right? All right. But there's also qualities of investing. There's always a justification of, for Silverdegenerates of, well, maybe I shouldn't have spent so much this week. But you know what? I spent money on money. It's liquid, right? It's liquid. So we don't feel like we've wasted it. Even if we pay a premium, and sometimes when we sell it, we don't get our full premium. Sometimes we get more, right? And we're going to talk about that because I want to hear some stories from you guys. It's really interesting, though, because we start to refine our collections and go in these directions, and we start to more intuitively figure out what we both love and what we think will hold or gain value. Alicia Rader in the house. Love you, darling. And one of the things Silverdegenerates do is, we'd like to display our silver. We like to talk about it. And that's one of the main reasons I started the merch page, right? Not everybody wants to leave their silver collection out. Not everybody wants to carry a pocket piece. But, if you wear a Silverdegenerates t-shirt, it says something. And people can ask you about it. And you can have a conversation about it. And those conversations sometimes will have a ripple effect and get people interested in what we're doing. The more the merrier, especially with a commodity. Silver is finite, remember. And as we evolve and we start getting all the dates, we start to get the MS-70s and we t-shirts and tank tops are kind of unisex. I do it for the love, but really for the future. I spend a bit every week, but if you have cash sitting around, might as well make it worth something more in the future. That's an interesting statement because Silverdegenerates think like that. That is a commonality amongst us. It's why I talk about community over isolation, because numismatics and stacking has always sort of been looked at as an alone sort of thing, a solitary thing. And I never felt like it had to be that way because for me, it felt lonely. And that's why I think community is important. And community over isolation is how many Silverdegenerates feel. This community changes lives. For many of us, there are people in this community who are sick. We have a lot on our plates, a myriad of reasons, okay? A myriad of reasons. And having this community ties us together. And it allows us to do something that was traditionally done in isolation, and it allows us to do it together. It allows us to share pieces that we love and so on with each other and other like-minded people, And that's why we talk about community over isolation, unity over division. Everything in the world, especially nowadays. I mean, I'm not young. I'm not old. I'm in my mid-40s, but I feel like the messaging out there in the world, in the media, in our politics, whether it's right or left, it's about division, and it's about what makes us different. And when you focus on that, it's not a good course. It's not a good course. It's building walls. And as Silverdegenerates, we believe in taking those walls down for sure. I show people stuff, but then I tell them I sold something to buy whatever it is. Exactly. For sure. You know, it's one of the reasons on my page I really, truly, I'll talk about liberty. I'll talk about freedom. I'll talk about my love for my country and the Constitution. But I will not engage in politics publicly because too many people get offended. And that's okay. You know, I don't want to always hear something that I don't believe and be told that I should believe this or I should believe that. I can make up my own mind. And as long as we can disagree and have a respectful, discourse, that's what it's all about. It just feels more divisive lately. And that's why I think Silverdegenerates are always going to be better off staying away from politics, staying away from things that are divisive, and focusing on what unites us. Stock, cash, grass, and the silver. Whoa, the gold's color. Nobody rides for free, And, the thing also is, as Silverdegenerates, we put investing on the back burner, but it's always on our mind because we all hope our stacks increase in value and grow in value. I have the energy of a toddler. That's Nestor. That's SoFlo, Alicia. And when you think of investing, all right, and this is common psychology when it comes to investing. Investment decisions tend to be led by the emotions fear and regret. And I don't like either of those emotions. I don't like regret. We can all be sorry for what we've done or sorry we made a mistake. That's fine. But that's different than like regret. Like I should have done this, right? Regret and fear can consume you, but so can joy. So we can choose if we want to focus on joy or if we want to focus on fear and regret. And Silverdegenerates tend to focus on joy, for sure. So we start out by, getting anything we can get our hands on to getting everything that we love in our hands. So what I want to hear from some of you guys is this is always a curious question for me. The gold color. All right, I'll have to check it out in a minute. Correct, Dean Ellis. Very wise. The lady is wise. I want to hear some things from you about pieces that you've done well with. Now, I know there are people in here who've been collecting for years, like Tucker. I'd love to hear, I know you like Morgans. I'd love to hear, how you feel like you did collecting Morgans over the years. Or Ryan, Silverport, you've made a big shift to Eagles. What are some pieces that you guys have discovered that you love? Exactly, Silverport, that you feel have done well for you? Or where there's a piece that's like, oh my God, I wish I never would have paid that much for it. Be honest. We've all been there. I've done it. If you've never done it, come on. Give me a break. Dean Ellis likes Eagles. But I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. Or tell me what direction you've gone. Oki's gone with Samurai Coins and Chopped 8 Reales. Very nice. Shipwreck, no regrets. Shreky Lou, that's an interesting, and I've sort of talked about this a little bit too, Chris. Saturation. You can't do too much too fast. You've got to let people digest. When a lot of the Peanuts pieces first came out, because they're not coins, they are technically rounds. I think even me, I was like, I've got high hopes. It seems like in the beginning they were shooting up in value. And then they employed some interesting business strategies. They went to just where you could only buy certain things, certain places, to create an air of exclusivity, maybe. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just, questioning just as conversationally. But I think the other mistake that was made was there are too many released too fast. Too fast. You can't burn out collectors, people who love the art. We all only have certain budgets, you know. Heavy Collision likes 2-ounce rounds. Okay, there you go. You have no moderation. Dooby dooby doo, silver on the slab. The eBay release was stupid. Well, I try to make it a habit not to argue with $1 billion company. I wish I could be that stupid. No, but seriously, I mean, I think that's a common sort of feeling that's out there. You can't overwhelm collectors, and I've been victim of it as a seller almost, right? Where it's like my dealers, push to me certain things too, and it's like, okay, Tommy, this was hot. Look, you sold 100, in a week, and then all of a sudden a week later they've got the next release, and they're wondering why I only sold 30. Well, you got to let people digest. Yeah, exactly, Bodine, and that was sort of the mistake. You have not totally found your groove yet. But Chris, you're going in interesting directions too. I pay attention to you guys sometimes more than it seems. I know I get busy and I don't get to be as chatty as I'd like to sometimes. Tucker, nail on the head. The Marvel series was perfect. And you know what? 50,000 minted. That's not small. That's not a lot, right? It's neither big nor small. But boy, they sold. They really sold. And they've increased in value because they let people digest. Look what Spider-Man goes for. My Lord, right? Marvel series was perfect. I don't think it's over. The Pac-Man design was okay, but not great. I liked the colorized version. I think that it just... Sometimes the dealers try to control the pricing. Now, am I guilty of that? A little bit, in terms of I try to protect the premium, not only for myself, but for the people that buy from me. If I overbuy something, right? Like let's say it's a $45 piece and I've got too many of them. And let's say I paid $41 for it, right? I could easily lower it to like 43, 42 just to blow it out. But to me, doing that is also disrespectful to everybody that bought it at 45. So I try to hold tight. Out of both respect to the people that buy from me, and also because making $1 on a piece of silver is not a business model. Trust me, there's way too much work that goes into it to do $1 on a piece. Alicia does like pours, but she tries to get other things that she thinks are cute. Yes, she raids my stack once in a while. So does JR. JR.stacking.nyc. Pieces that either mean something personally or speak to a time in your life, like an Army piece. Army Strong, my brother. Lately been doing ASE and Lunar Series. The Perth Lunar Series. So I will say that, Bodine, hey, Silverholic in the house. Good to see you, man. I will say, most people don't realize this. Many countries have Lunar Series. Canada does it with a privy. The British Royal Mint also has a Lunar Series. I had the dog on a post today, but they also do something with their Britannias, if you've ever noticed. I don't know if they're still doing it. They might have stopped doing it, but there are a whole bunch of Britannias that would have on the edge, they would be stamped with a lunar privy. Britannias. I can see if I can find one and show you an example. Old vintage stuff. Yes, you do. And pours. Give me 1 second. Let me just catch up. Fractional gold, the Germania B series is hot. Absolutely, Warren. Absolutely. Fafnir. Dean Ellis picked it up today for big bucks. That's not far off from what they're going for. I want to see if I can find one of these. I think these are cool. It's going to be really hard to see. But for example, I might have to get my looking glass. A lot of them are less than 20,000 minted, indeed. And then they do the privies. Privies are a collector's special. So this is a 2014, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the year of the horse. And if you look closely, this is a Britannia. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this for you guys. Ooh, it's so close. So close. You can almost see it, though. Little horsies running around the edge. And that is a Britannia, dated 2014, otherwise indistinguishable from the other Britannias. Quarter ounce and lower. Yeah, I'm fans of 1/10 and grams on golds. I've been seeing and hearing about the Wolverine era. I wish I would have looked more closely at all my Wolverines. Nestor, you will moderate at some point. The shine wears off a little bit. So they did do it with a monkey as well in the year of the monkey. I believe a horse, monkey. Those are the common ones that I always see. Might have been a dog. I have to double check. Exactly, Silverholic. 1 gram to quarter ounce of gold are very liquid. Don't forget. Oh, Gambit. You've read my mind. Oh, Lord, Robert, that's pricey. Yes, I do have collaborations with poor artists in the works. I did that from day one, and I will not stop. Besides Libertads, my heart is with poors. And so I will always collaborate and promote poor artists. Guys, 30 people in here, 27 likes. Give me a couple of likes. If you haven't liked my video yet, please like it. Comments help. All these things help the algorithm. I'm grateful for each and every one of you in here. The 2-ounce set. I think it will. Alan. I think it will. Are pours hard to sell? They can be sometimes hard to gauge, like how many I should buy. I don't like to do pre-sales. So, yeah, I mean, when I work with a poor artist and they're like, okay, I need $40 an ounce, or I need this, or I need that, 12 or 13 an ounce over, and I want to pay them for their work as fast as possible. So I sort of try to gauge, and I lay out the money and then collect it. I really, not every piece is meant to be flipped. Pops, you brought up a great point, Tucker. Hard to flip. If you think that every piece you're buying is to flip or an investment, you're going to be disappointed. And that's why I talk about the joy of this. You have to love what you're buying. And if you love what you buy, there are no regrets. If you lose $5 off a premium, you should have no regrets. Any more than you would have regrets by going to a movie. Well, I've been in some movies I've had some regrets over, but that's another story. No, but seriously, right? If you love what you're buying and you paid a $5 premium and you feel like you can't get it back when you resell it, well, are you an investor? Are you a trader? Are you a collector? Right? Investors hold long-term. Traders flip. I'm closer to the trader spectrum, but trust me, I hold on to a lot too, guys, because I have a lot of faith in silver. So, you have to consider where you are on the spectrum and what your threshold is. You can't win them all. That's where I'm at on pours. I love them and would love to stack them like crazy, but in future, will it hold up? if you're buying it because you love it, does it matter? If you love them, then it doesn't matter, right? Any more than that pair of sneakers that you buy, and eventually you're just going to throw them away. You paid $100 instead of 30, right? Do we ever say, "Oh my God, I knew I should have bought the $20 sneakers"? I mean, not really. We bought them because we loved them. What's up, Cameron? Good to see you. As a poor buyer, I can often pick up pieces in the secondary market for equal to or slightly less than when released, mostly. There is truth to that because those people are taking a little bit of a haircut on the premium they paid, right? So did they buy it because they loved it? Did they overbuy? Because sometimes we can all overbuy. Sometimes, listen, one of the beautiful things about metals, I don't care if it's a pour, an eagle, whatever it is, one of the most beautiful things is if we ever get into a jam, what we have is liquid, okay? I mean, it would take me a lifetime to sell what I have, in my vault on Instagram. But if I was in a real jam and I needed some serious cash, I could go to a refiner. I could go to a coin shop, and I would take a haircut. Absolutely. I would take a big shave on the premium. You have to have the money to buy, though. You can't risk losing your home. Do not overbuy, guys. I've done videos about important things. Try not to buy on credit cards unless you're going to pay it off right away and you're benefiting from the points. Make sure you have your bills covered. Make sure you have a cash reserve for emergencies. If your car breaks down and you need $1,000, you should try not to have to sell silver for it. I'm just saying unforeseen things do happen. Of course, no judgment, right? But you should have that $1,000 there before you splurge on silver, in my opinion. If you like it, I'll overpay for it. There's a fine line between stacking for investment and stacking as a hobby. Exactly. And I preach hobby because if you're doing it out of love and joy, there's no regret, right? If you're doing it as an investment and spot drops, you're going to be like, right? Cameron comes into the auctions. Came in last night. Pours are as much art as they are metal, for sure. And let's not forget, not only they are, I mean, this is a piece of handcrafted art. That a lot more goes into than people realize. Tucker, mainly a collector. I was forced to sell due to my business being closed. Hated parting with my goodies. But you see, Tucker, that is a perfect example. You were in a truly unforeseen situation, like many people in the last year plus with COVID, and you had to sell, right? And it was there for you. If you'd spent the same money on going to the movies or $100 steaks every night, or always buying Nikes and name brand clothings and different things like that, you wouldn't have that money. You wouldn't have that money. And this is part of the commonality that I speak of with Silverdegenerates. We are thinking like that. We are thinking in a frugal way, in a way that creates legacy and builds wealth. That's what Silverdegenerates do. It is a store of wealth if you need it, Clint, for sure. How much cash would you give? $5 over $100. I don't see context. I need context, Ryan. Thank God you had your medals indeed. Physical 401k, I like to call it. Exactly right. Exactly right. And the 401k goes up and down in value. Hey, thanks for joining. I didn't realize it was your first time. I thought you'd been in here before, but thanks. So on Tuesday nights, Cameron, I like to do these like little chats, get feedback from people. It's just more casual. I'm not selling anything, just talking about collecting, talking about business development. Check out some of my other videos. Some of them I've been told are, yeah, all right. Let's see. Steve Hans, points is a good talking point. I use credit card for business expenses, pay it off, and use the points to check out with at some of the online retailers. Absolutely. And I do the same. I am guilty as charged, no pun intended, maybe. But I definitely use my credit card as much as I can, as opposed to my debit card. I pay it off as quickly as possible. I carry very little credit card debt, and I utilize the points for sure. Charlie Mack in the house. Check him out on YouTube. Also, Charlie Mack reviews precious metals. Yes, he does. Use the cash back to buy metals. I love that cycle. Mike Maloney says spot price typically rises in August, September. Do you find so? I think there's truth to that. I think there's a December correlation that can be made also, August, September, and December. But that's timing the market, and it's near impossible. And I would never recommend trying to time the market. I think that there are just too many factors. I mean, beyond supply and demand, for sure. Profits from crypto. What profits from crypto? No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Cameron, crypto's been taking a little beat down lately. Remember something, and I've talked about this in the past, guys. The same type of people who lack faith in the US dollar, who want a store of wealth, it's a like-minded individual that buys crypto, that buys metals. Sometimes I do believe they are competing for a monetary pool. So sometimes there can be an inverse, right, correlation. But I think it's interesting what we're seeing right now. And by the way, I don't own much in terms of crypto. I sort of like it as a gamble. I think it has some upside potential, but long-term, I'm a little bit worried. And I don't know what long-term means. That's part of why I worry with crypto. There you go. If anyone needs pool service in the Los Angeles area, Cameron is your guy. Metals over money, but I always keep 1,000 cash on the side for emergencies. Exactly, Gambit. That actually is like one of my favorite Silverdegenerates stories. I did a blog post about it one time. If you go to my website, www.stacking.nyc, I have a blog there with some really funny stories. A couple of really funny stories. There's one about the traveling angle hard bar, and there's one about a guy that is a silver degenerate, and I think his name is Tomas. And, it's a story that I heard. It's a true story. I mean, not that I would know that it's true. I was told that it was true. But definitely need to have a little cash on the side. Always have a little cash on the side for emergencies. Points for travel, for sure. Credit card utilization is important, and if it's done wisely, you can benefit from it, for sure. I don't trust crypto long-term. Snoozers, Joe in the house. Love you, brother. U.S. Traveling Constitution, guys. Charlie Mack, where is the Traveling Constitution? See, this is something, when we talk about community for silver degenerates, that's part of it. It's not just metals. It's about sharing our values, like the love of the Constitution, liberty and justice for all, right? Let me just snooze that. Is it good to take profit occasionally? Well, Warren, if you're looking at it as an investment, of course, right? But when I talk about how I feel about metals, I say that it's number one, a hobby, number two, a store of wealth and savings, and number three, a potential investment, right? Now, if you look at it from that perspective, people have talked to me about exit strategies. People have talked to me, hey, Jeff, how are you? For all. Absolutely, Robert. I'm a firm believer in liberty and justice for all, not just with the people we agree with, not just for the people like us. It's for everybody. It's a global value. It's a human value. Jeff in the house, but taking profit, right? So when I frame it that way as hobby, store of wealth / savings, investment, potentially, right? And people say, oh, what's the exit strategy? What's the exit strategy? Well, with any savings, what's the exit strategy? You take your savings as needed or as desired. If you've managed to save $50,000 and you want to take a trip around the world and you think you can, not hurt your lifestyle by doing so, take out your savings and go on a trip around the world. Nobody can tell you what to do with your money. This is why I said no. Bodine tried to trade plywood for silver today. Man was okay with it, but his wife said no. Lumber's getting expensive, isn't it, Jeff? Why not carry a gram? Well, because it's not quite as recognized by the uninitiated, as I like to say. You can't go into a store and give them a gram of gold or even a silver eagle. They'd still look at you funny, even if they wanted to give you the dollar value. And remember, a silver eagle with a $1 value, it is not considered currency. Technically, it's considered uncirculated currency, and it's not meant to be exchanged on the open market. Always take profits for a Lambo. 1 second. All right. What kind of questions do you guys have? I want to hear stories from you. A gold casket with silver trim. I love it. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to hear some stories from you about what it means to be a silver degenerate, what it means to you to collect certain pieces that you love. I want to hear about maybe an evolution in your stacking. I know Ryan has gone through it. I know Pops has gone through it. I know several people here. I know Charlie loves his dragons. I know that a lot of you have evolved your stacks, especially those of you that have been dealing with for a couple of years or more. But I want to hear some stories from you guys, something that you want to share, something you found interesting about your stacking behavior and how it relates with the Silver Degenerates community. Share something good with me, guys. I'm looking forward to this. And that's the beautiful thing about Tuesday nights. Because I'm not selling, I have more time to read your comments. For me, this community really opened my eyes to hand-poured bars and rounds. Absolutely. Derek in the house. It means you're wet. A very common thing among silver degenerates. It's the side eye from the significant other. How many packages you got there? How heavy is that package? Very common that we get put in timeout by our significant others. When I started doing this, again, my ex thought I was crazy. She's like, you have an unhealthy obsession. I'm like, my bills are paid. I'm good. My stack really got me focused on budgeting to reduce my debt and clear credit cards and then purchase more 401k and precious metals. Interesting. Absolutely. Because when you're a stacker, you're thinking differently. You're thinking differently about your future and how your money plays into that future. Having trouble stacking versus numismatics. What do you mean, Warren? Tell me what you mean by that. Because different pieces. And I do like to talk about this when I talk about a diversified stack. Because silver degenerates have their own paths, right? But it's good to keep a balanced stack, in my opinion. A little of maybe something that you love a little bit less, because they react differently to swings in spot. A generic round, I don't even like to use that term, but a buffalo round, let's say, for example, will drop in value with spot more than a slabbed MS-70 eagle, right? Or a piece of art, right? There are pieces that aren't really, the premiums aren't protected by swings in spot, and there are pieces where the premium is protected despite swings in spot. So diversify your stack. Fractionals maintain their premiums, and they're good for trading. They're good in prepper situations. Generics, government, numismatics, collectibles, they don't all react the same. Stacking numismatics, you don't have to say verses. Pick which one you love. Do a little bit more of the other, right? Because let's say you love the numismatics. Make sure you've got some cheaper stuff. Because if you get in that jam, you don't want to sell your numismatics. You don't want to sell the things you love the most. You want to have things within your stack that you're like, okay, I'm cool selling this. Goodbye, right? I love everything about this community. I don't buy generic anymore. Move to 90% for weight because it's fractional. The only issue I have with 90% is in a sort of doomsday scenario where if I had to grab, a box and take it to the refiner, they do not value 90% the same way because of the cost to refine. So it's a consideration. It's why historically constitutional silver has always traded so close to melt. This is why. I love everything about this community, and I'm ready to do a big coin show from the shopping side. Oh, that's fun. Well, you have the Florida Fun Show coming up. Hopefully, we'll do an A&A show. Those are the two biggest in the country. Wife's view on buying silver. This could be several pairs of shoes or handbags. Dean Ellis knows. She loves her handbags too. So you can love more than one thing. Yeah, Derek, that'd be very cool. Constitutional silver is the way to go. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're like all of us expecting a nice swing up in spot, I think constitutional isn't a bad idea, right? Because that swing up will be your hedge in the reduction of premium at the refiner level, if that makes sense, right? Good term was money likes to be sexy and move. No one likes stale, steady money. I don't understand at first, but money that moves brings more money. Velocity. This is a major principle of economic theory. It's why the Fed injects liquidity into the market. It wants to create velocity. It wants to make people spend. It's why you're rewarded for spending and not for saving in times like this, right? Here's $1,400. Well, don't put it in the bank. What am I going to get? 0.01% interest? Why would I do that? I'm just going to spend it. That's velocity. And it keeps circulating. And the next person says, well, I'm not going to save it. I'm not getting money on bonds. I'll just spend it again, or I'll reinvest in my company. All these things. It creates velocity. It's a major principle of economics. From one coin of every kind to a tube. I have been educating myself. So when questions come up, I can tell my wife about why it's important. She is smart, so I have to be on my toes. Absolutely. Not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to get it. Different mints and the series being minted. It's a lot more fun when you branch out. All right. And that's part of the joy aspect of what we do. There are lots of people who just stack weight, and then they realize that there's fun to be had here. Silver, gold, and handbags. There you go. All right, great advice. Thank you, Alicia. Never feel attached to material things. That's right. I'm so mad. I can't do hoodies right now. We don't have the right supply. They're going into summer stock. Welcome back, Nestor. Converting some AG to AU because storage is beginning to be a problem for me. Storage is an issue with silver. It is. So a lot of people ask me about storage and security. And as you've been doing this for years and your stack really grows, what I've advised people is to make your home safe. Have an alarm system, have cameras, have strong locks. If you have all that, having a safe inside becomes less important. Just a consideration. Home security is not as expensive as it used to be. It's really gotten out to the people. You can get a Ring system for literally hundreds of dollars with like $10 a month in monitoring. Like with me, I do multiple systems, so mine's a lot more advanced. But mine's a lot more advanced. I'll leave it at that for now. But a basic home system is really not cost prohibitive. It can be cheaper than a safe, right? And you get a monitored alarm system. Also been buying sterling objects to use, letter openers, money clips, etc. That's interesting. Anybody else race home asking for a friend? Well, Mondays and Wednesdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, baby. So rhodium is really interesting. Rhodium is really interesting. The number one use for rhodium is in satellites. And there are not many dealers that really specialize in rhodium, but I know one that does. How to remove your guns from the safe. Just get another safe. You have a big house. Hire John Wick and you're good. And pay him in John Wick rounds. Absolutely. Layers of defense. Absolutely. Insurance, worth it on precious metals. Some say declare it on home or renter's insurance. You'd have to speak to your agent about that. When you do this as a business, insurance is not that bad, and it actually has decent coverage. So it's something that you have to speak to an agent about. There are different agents that will specialize in this. So you definitely want to make sure you're speaking to an agent that knows what they're talking about. In terms of renter's insurance, I don't know how much it would cover. You got to speak to your agent. Make sure you are knowledgeable. How do you run with 4 girls and your metals? Well, if you can keep your metals secure in your home and take some as needed, take some fractional, you have something to trade, you have something, that's what they call a bug out situation, Dan Ellis, where you may have to leave your home for 2 days, 4 days, a week. You never know, right? Depending on the natural disaster. It could be an earthquake, it could be a hurricane, it could be anything. Everybody thinks that we prep for, the apocalypse. Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be the end of the world as we know it. It can be a serious disruption in a major city. Hey, Bangino, what's going on, brother? So, it's an important consideration to know what would happen with your metals if you did have to leave your house. Make sure they are secure. Make sure they are secure. And take what you can. For me, when I was with my ex, I had a backpack for my 5-year-old. Okay, this is what you're going to carry. It had nothing in it, maybe a pouch of water or something, or a space blanket. But, teaching that responsibility even at a young age is important, in my opinion. Rhodium just came off a crazy dip. Yeah. The additional rider, it really depends. Pelican cases do float. That is true. Each kid grabs a 10-ounce bar and goes. I love it. You may need to look at commercial policies. I do need to do a bug out bag video. That is a good question, Joe. How do you separate and prepare your stack for your demise so your family doesn't sell everything at spot? That is something I have also struggled with, and I'm not sure I completely have the answer beyond having talked to my daughter, my older daughter, about the value of what's here. And, that's a very good, it's a good way to think, right? Because, as we do this, we want to protect our legacy for our children. We don't want them to squander it. But at the end of the day, we'll be gone. And as long as they have something, they'll be happy. You can definitely keep a database and a price list. But because things fluctuate, you'd really have to update that price list or that database regularly. Gambit, that's the better answer. I think to have a couple people around you that you trust and just pray that when you're gone, they don't. Remember that time Tommy pissed me off. The bug out bag, absolutely. I don't know if I want that responsibility for anybody, but I think anybody knows that if there was a bad situation and their family member came to me, I would do right by them. I do right for everybody when they're alive. I'm not going to start doing them wrong when they're dead. Families often don't care, and that's the sad truth. A family friend sold their father's house containing a record collection, probably worth $500,000. They didn't care. Sold the house with all the contents. Oof, ouch. I've been there, guys. So when my dad died, I inherited, along with my 5 living siblings, a decent sized collection. It was probably worth $100,000, and we split it up. And at the time, I was less knowledgeable, and I took most of it to a coin shop. And he's like, "Look, I'm going to give you 10% back of melt here. I'm going to give you 10% off of gray sheet here. I'm going to give you 10." And I went through it, and it was pretty standard. I felt okay. I don't look back with any regrets. It was what it was at the time. I needed the money. I've been there for sure. 1/3 to silver poor. Let's see. Families often don't care. Yep. Sharing a birthday party. A digital price sheet and paper with metals. I track everything what I paid for, the value was at the time, an ounce, year, and so on. It's good. It's good to keep a spreadsheet. It's good to keep a spreadsheet. Definitely. But guys, what other questions? I've really intended to do this like a half hour every Tuesday night. It's turned into like 45 minutes or an hour because I just have so much fun. But any final questions? I want to make sure you guys get back to your families. The reason we all do this, get back to your loved ones. But talk to me about anything else, and we'll start to call it a good night. Yes, Mike, I've told people that many times. It's very good to keep a spreadsheet. How many hours a night do you actually sleep? I'm trying to get better about that. Probably about 6. Probably about 6. 4. No, a little more than 4. Nowadays, a little more than 4. For a while, it was closer to 4 or 5. The truth is, my biggest bar in the deep stack, I don't have anything big right now. I don't prefer, personally, big silver. I think the more liquid, the better, right? If I have a 10-ounce bar, right, and somebody's willing to spend $350 for it, they'd be willing to spend $350 for 10 1-ounce pieces, in my opinion. But if I only need to sell 5, I'll take the 175 and keep the other 5 ounces in my stack, if that makes sense. And that's why I prefer 1-ounce pieces, why I prefer fractional. To me, my philosophy is the smaller, the better. It depends on how you sell it. Theoretically, silver's a commodity. It's theoretically subject to capital gains. Theoretically. Applies mostly to ETFs. Meaning that physical silver is physical silver. Most popular items that I'm selling right now. I'm a little bit surprised the Star Wars pieces didn't do a little bit better. The Millennium Falcon and I'll sort of answer it backwards. I'm surprised the Millennium Falcon didn't do much better, and the Galactic Empire. With mintages of 25,000 and 100,000, I think they're solid pieces. I expected to sell a boatload. Didn't sell nearly what I thought I was going to sell. Hot pieces. Pamp, the Minotaur went crazy. The Crocs sold very well. I'm really excited for the next release in the Pamp series, that lion. I made everybody yawn, the power of suggestion. Do I have any plans on opening a shop in your area? It's something I've considered. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I have some other things to work through, both in my personal life and my business life. But I do not rule it out within a few years. I do not rule it out within a few years. I think that's getting towards the apex of the Silverdegenerates process, a Silverdegenerates coin shop. I'm excited for the Pamp Lion. I think that's probably going to be one of the hottest pieces in forever. I think it's going to be it's probably going to be as hot as the Minotaur. The Lion, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that, Matt. And I got to be honest, talk about Silverdegenerates. Um, you know, it really is about collaboration over competition from a seller's perspective, in my opinion. I think that the more I do for people, the better it is for me. I think that the more all of us do for other people, the better it will be for all of us. It's the right thing to do, and it's good business. We're on social media. We're not $100 million corporations or billion-dollar corporations. They can fight with each other and, race to the bottom or do whatever they do and hate each other all they want and curse each other when they go to sleep. On social media, we shouldn't do that. I need a drive. Ooh, a silver drive-through. I like that idea, Snow Zeus. I like that idea. Let's go take over Lou's shop in Brooklyn. Never know. Never know. Hey, listen. I'd whatever. I'd always be open for a discussion. Exactly, Matt. And that's something I've really tried to be about from the beginning. Like I said, you can't make money doing this as a business if you're making a dollar on an ounce of silver, right? You've got to make a couple, $3, $4, even sometimes if you're lucky, 10%, 15%, right? You start looking at margins. But a lot of times on Instagram, I see like a race to the bottom. I'm not here to compete with $1 billion company, and I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try to compete with them on pricing, but I can guarantee you I will do my best to run circles around them in terms of customer service, in terms of producing content, in terms of producing entertainment, in terms of bringing the community together in whatever role I can play in doing such. And that's what we all need to focus on Instagram. And we need to talk about it. And we need to talk about that philosophy and why it's important. Sure, sometimes you could save $5 by going to one of the big boys. But you know what? If everybody did that, how boring would Instagram be? How boring would Instagram be if there was no more Edgar, there was no more Tommy, there was no more Lon, there was no more Pops? Sellers on Instagram are incentivized to produce good content, to make it interesting for all of you to stay here, for sure. That would be nice. My problem is I'm laser focused, but my profit margins on silver are a little bit higher than gold. Hey, Kalor, how are you? So my profit margin goal on silver is about 15%. So you can figure, like, if I pay 34, 35 for it, am I doing my math right? I'm looking for $40. I want to make between $4 and $5 on a $35 piece, right? That's my target. That's my honest target. And one of the other reasons we don't have to compete with the big boys, their shipping is much more expensive. So if theoretically you could pay $1 less or even $2 less for a coin, you're going to pay $6 more in shipping, right? And one of the things I do is I leverage buying power. So not only are the pieces I'm selling from this website, they're also from that website and that website and that website. So the variety, if you wanted to put that all together, you know what I'm saying? You'd have to spend, $80 on this website plus $10 shipping, $90 on that website plus $10 shipping, $85 on that website plus $10 shipping. It's a powerful thing to consider. It's a powerful thing to consider. As long as your website doesn't crash when customers try to order. I feel like my Instagram crashes, bro. My Instagram crashes. 30%, it's a little bit high, in my opinion, but I'm not going to tell anybody how to run their business. There are pieces that I've made as much as 30% on, but that's by far the exception. There are pieces that I've made money, and those, I call them my money makers, right? And I'm just selling them at a retail level. I did very well with the Minotaurs. I'm 100% honest with people. I did very well with the Minotaurs. I made about 20% on the Minotaurs. gross profit margin, which is nice because it's an expensive piece, right? So when you're selling 50 pieces and you're making, $20 a piece, that's good. That can pay for some bills, you know what I mean? And give you some breathing room to, feel good about what you're doing. And I didn't have to sell it for more than it was really going for retail anywhere else to make that profit margin. And that's because the distributors want you to protect those profit margins. They know that those pieces are good for the market. They know they're good for dealers. It's what keeps dealers working hard, right? Just like you support sellers on Instagram because otherwise it would be boring. You got to support dealers. You got to keep dealers in business. Right? The major distributors, they can't do what we do here on Instagram. They can't. Well, just for the record, I pay all due taxes. Minotaur is so cool. I pay all due taxes. More profit on the collection pieces when you're selling a Maple Leaf or Buffaloes at 30%. No. I'm on most of those pieces, true story, I'm looking at closer to 10% gross. So my overall target is about 15%, right? Gross profit. You have the collector's pieces where you'll hit 20%. And then you have Eagles have gone their own direction. But a lot of that level stuff is about 10%. So like I said, a hybrid. Hey, Sean, how are you? Love you, man. That hybrid is kind of how I come up with the 15% number. So it's been really frustrating watching people get scammed that have passed on stuff you have put up because they think they're getting a deal. People can't help themselves. I've seen it over the years. It's not pleasant. On Instagram, you do have to do your own due diligence. I mean, the good news is that's for the amount of money that gets circulated on Instagram and for the number of people selling, scammers, dishonest actors are so few and far between. Really is. Do your own due diligence. Don't send money to people that you don't know. If you're an established buyer, say, look, I don't know about your track record. I've mediated trades. I've done all kinds of stuff. So you always have a way. Don't just send any stranger your money. And I'll be honest with you. When I first started doing business on Instagram or even selling in general, I was like, I can't believe this guy just sent me $600. For a tube of Eagles or whatever it was at the time. But now I see, you know what I mean? It was my early days, it surprised me. But be careful, guys. Please, please, please be careful. I've put in an order for 700 of the Libertads, the 2021s so far. Not a lot of the proofs. I'm really just focused on the BUs. I can't focus on everything. So I focus on what I focus on, and that's kind of it. So here, you want some gossip? I'll read what I just wrote to somebody. Give me 1 second. Because you're going to get, if you love Libertads, don't go anywhere. You need to hear this. And this is a fact. Okay. Let me see, where is it? Where am I on this? So here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm hearing privately. Okay. And then I'll tell you why I'm saying this here on YouTube, but you probably won't hear me say it on Instagram. There is talk that the Mexican Mint is saying that they will not be able to reach their target capacity for the 1 ounce Libertads and others. So the declared mintage that they said that they were going to do for 2021, they're not going to be able to make it. Meaning, I think they said 600 and something thousand. We don't think we're going to get there. I will follow that up with, I don't like to use the word lie But I do not trust the Mexican Mint. If I saw it in a press release from the Mexican Mint, I still wouldn't treat it as gospel truth. They do a great job of playing the strings for their fan base. So just because the Mexican Mint says X, Y, or Z doesn't mean anything. Do you guys remember for a while it was circulating that there weren't going to be any 2021 Libertads at all? Remember that one? And then like a month later, they're like, okay, we're going to release them in 2 months. Okay, come on. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be another better year. Even at 600,000, it's still a good year for Libertads. Silverholic, it depends on. Last week, I did a whole video about what it's like to work with my wholesalers, including some major nationals. I talked about that a little bit. Every single one is different. Every single one is different. It depends on your relationship. It depends on how much aggregate you're spending, right? So I could theoretically get my wholesale pricing even if I bought 40. Let's make up a number. As long as I'm spending enough money overall that they don't care. So if I'm buying, 40 each of 10 items, they're happy to give me the wholesale price. Some wholesalers, like I said, depends. For me, gold is about fractional. Constitutional is good. It's recognizable. ASEs, once again, we live in the United States. Those are the recognizable metals. So, as they say, all politics are local. In any kind of a bad situation, a dealer would rather have an American Silver Eagle than a Canadian Maple Leaf. They'd rather have a Maple Leaf maybe than before a Brit. So I don't think that's a bad strategy. I like variety. Gambit, they are getting. I've had mine for a few years. I'm worried. I got to find a new one myself just to have as a backup. I believe in redundancy. I don't like being out in any area of my business operations. I have multiple printers. I have multiple laptops. I have multiple iPads. I have multiple shipping platforms. As I had a problem with Indicia one day. I opened up a new platform. I said, I can't let people. I have to do whatever it takes, in my opinion, to make sure that I can keep providing consistent service. That's important to me. So it means 2 printers. It means multiple iPads. It means multiple laptops. It means, there is no, my printer ran out of ink. Sorry, guys. That's the reason you're going to be a day late. There are other things beyond my control. I can't control everything. But to the extent that I have things I can control, I control it. So I've been looking for a backup Sigma because, if I know I'm getting something mint direct, I'm not usually going to test it. Possibly I'll pop one on there just for giggles. But anything that comes from the community, pours, I tend to check, right? And pours are funny, and this has been done ad nauseum. Pours don't always test well on a Sigma because of the texture. But if you can find a Sigma, get it. Prices are going up. Hey, Ryan, how are you? WB, Eagles, Eagles, Eagles. They're recognizable. They're known. They hold their premium well. Should be interesting to see what happens with premiums. I'm not seeing any major shift. I'm seeing maybe a smidge of relief. Dan, that was the first time they had the Canadian Mint put a mythical creature on one of its pieces of bullion. And they only did it because of the Kraken's role in maritime history. So the context was very important. The weight punched on the piece is higher than the weight shown on the scale. The weight is higher. Are you measuring it in troy ounces? Silverholic, make sure you're measuring it in troy ounces. I always check grams if I have any questions, right? So we know that there's 31.1 grams in a troy ounce, approximately. 28 and change in an ADBP ounce. Important to know the difference, guys. Very important to know the difference. Important to know the difference. Yeah, the Kraken was a good piece, man. I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's a good question. The weight is incorrect on the piece. It happens. You know, poor artists are human beings. They make mistakes. Definitely make mistakes. You know, I do want to say, like, there's a difference between making a mistake and being dishonest. I've made plenty of mistakes, you know. Verdi, my personal opinion. Do I think silver will break $30 this summer? Let's just say I think in the near future, if you listen to what I'm saying carefully, I still do believe we are in a 2008 to 2011 cycle. So I don't think that is out of the question. I'll say that I don't like to predict prices. I am not a financial advisor. I am a stacker, but if you look at my stack, it tells you where I think silver is going. Yes, budget bullion stacker. That is not uncommon. Sometimes they understamp a piece. Yep. Yep, for sure. So, guys, if that's it, wow. I love this. I really do love this. I could like talk to you guys forever, just like this. It really means a lot to me to have you guys tune in on these Tuesday nights. Next week, we're going to do a giveaway. Okay. But we got to get the word out a little bit about these Tuesday night chats because I really find them enjoyable. Honestly, like a lot of my week can be stressful, you know, and there's pressure to selling and paying the bills and oh my God, right? But this to me is the purest form of, you know, my intention and connection to the community. And I like doing it here on YouTube. It's different. It feels more comfortable. I feel like when I'm on Instagram, I have more pressure. Here I feel more relaxed and I feel more with you guys. 33 an ounce winter 2021. Could be. Nothing's out of the question, trust me. Sure, Ryan. Hit me in the DM and that's the first thing I'm gonna do when I get off is work the DMs. The gold color. Gotcha, brother. Have I ever sold to someone that noticed them selling the next day and you feel guilty? So I will say this. I advise people all the time. I am closer to a retailer. Okay. I buy wholesale and sell closer to retail, right? That's my business model. You can't buy from me and expect to make money. Not that it's impossible, but you can't flip buying on my platform. I have 12,400 followers. I have a big customer base. You know, I see people that it hurts me because I don't want to see anybody fail. I don't want to see anybody lose money. I don't want to see any of that. Nick DeStefano in the house. Love you, brother. And you know, Ryan, it happens. You know, either they're trying to make a little profit or maybe they needed the cash. Usually people come to me and they're like, Tommy, I have 100 ounces. Will you buy it from me? And I give them as fair a price as I can. And I know, like, when people buy from me, I know what they pay. And I said, this is what I can give you. So you think about it. If my goal is a 15% profit margin, I've got to give them about 15% less than they paid me. So if you paid 40, I've got to give you that 34, 35. And that can be hard. That can be hard. But the truth is, I've talked to people, and oftentimes I give them the best price they've been offered. So I do need to reach my profit goals, right? Educate yourself on the pieces. I say it, you know, time and time again. I always encourage people to keep a second device open in my auctions. Price it out. Know what it's going for. Know if you're getting a deal. Know if you're spending a couple extra dollars to support the platform, for which I am grateful, guys, and really I'm grateful, But know that. Don't say, oh, I think I'm getting a steal, and then realize you could have gotten it $10 cheaper, and you're like, he screwed me. No, it's never going to be my intention, for sure. Most coin dealers give spot, and I certainly give well over spot. My goal is to give at least or around what I would otherwise pay wholesale. Depending on the size of the deal, maybe a little less. Depends. A lot of my dealers give me terms. There's flexibility. There's, all kinds of stuff that happens. So, I can work with people, and I think I do a pretty good job. In the past, I've told this story. People come back to me to sell. I'm as fair as I can be. I'm as fair as I can be. So, guys, an hour and 20 minutes. Holy cow. What a great night. I had a lot of fun. Let's do this again next Tuesday, guys. I'll give away some silver. All right. Stay tuned for the giveaway. I'll figure out what it's going to be. We'll probably announce it Monday, and we'll go from there. Yes, I'm going to get some rest. Love you guys. Have a great night. How you stacking?